Hello, everybody. I'm Peter the Book Lover, and this is Movie Talk, where I talk about movies three at a time. Let's talk about some movies. We're going to talk about some zombie movies. Let's get into this. Hello, everybody. This is Movie Talk, where I talk about three movies at a time. And I've got three zombie movies that I'm going to talk about right here. These are all great movies. I love these movies a lot. Each one of these is fantastic, and I really enjoy these. I'm going to have a lot of fun talking about it. But before I get into the video, I want to thank everybody for coming by. You're really awesome for being here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. I know your time is precious. Let's talk about these movies. Thank you. Okay. So the first movie I want to talk about is from 1985. This is directed by Dan O'Bannon. And this is a movie called Return of the Living Dead. Now, what this movie is about is the army accidentally ships these containers containing this virus to a cemetery, like supply house. And two of the employees, one of them is a employee that's been there for a while, and the other one is a new employee, Freddie. And they accidentally release the gas, and a zombie outbreak happens. Now, let me go over the cast of this movie. Bert is played by Clu Gallagher. Frank is played by James Karen. Freddie is by Tom Matthews. Ernie is by Don Calfa. And Trash is by Linnea Quigley. Now, Linnea Quigley is one like a horror movie queen. And the rest of these actors, I do not know these from people from other movies. But let me tell you my opinion of this movie. This movie is fantastic. You know, this is a very simple story. You know, they release this gas, and then they try to cover it up by going to the crematory. And when they go to the crematory and try to cremate this body, it winds up spreading this gas in the air, and then it rains, and it causes zombies to come out. And this movie has great special effects. It's a very simple story. The acting performance is great. This is actually a very comical movie, in my opinion. There's a lot of comedy. There's a lot of punk rock because there's a group of friends waiting for Freddie, which is the new employee, to get off. And they hang out in a cemetery. And then this zombie outbreak happens, and it's pretty crazy. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good comedy in this movie. And if you haven't seen this before, you're going to really like it. It's got a tripped out ending to it. And I really enjoyed this a lot. Although I've seen this a long time ago, this is a movie that I've seen many times. And I knew that I was going to enjoy this when I started watching this. But this is a movie I highly recommend. Return of the Living Dead. Check it out. Okay, the second movie I'm going to talk about is from 2002. And this is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. And this movie is based off of a video game. And the video game is Resident Evil. This is what this is about is there's an underground lair created by the Umbrella Corporation, and there is somebody that actually releases a virus down there, and they sent a team in to investigate what happened, and zombie things happen. Now let me go over the cast. Alice is played by Milla Jovovich. Rain is played by Michelle Rodriguez. Albert Wesker is played by Sean Roberts. Now, the funny thing about his character is that it was not listed. I had to look this guy up. It took me a while to find out who this is. This is the guy that plays the husband to Alice. One is played by Colin Salmon. This guy is a great actor. I really like him. He's also in a movie Well, Mila Jovovich is in a lot of movies that I really like, but this one, Colin Solomon, he's also in a movie, Punisher, Warzone, and I really love that movie. And this guy's a great actor. And Matt is played by Eric Mabius. Mabus, I think. Mabius. And the thing about this movie, it's fantastic because it really reminds you of the video game. In my opinion, this is like the best video game adaptation that I've ever seen. I really enjoy this one a lot. This movie is very enjoyable, because the camera work is fantastic. Some of the best jump scares that I've ever seen. Great special effects, you know, and it's great because way before you get into the zombies, there's a lot of cool things that happen. There's a room with lasers in it, and it's a fantastic scene. And I just love this movie. This movie is fantastic. It really is. It's got a good twist to it. It reveals stuff as the movie. There's also zombie dogs in this movie, and I really like the zombie dogs. Oh, yes. If you have not seen this movie, I highly recommend it. This is probably a cult movie because, like, I don't think this was that popular when it first came out, but I believe this gained popularity after time because, like I say, in my opinion, this is the best video game movie that I've ever seen. And one thing that is really cool about this movie, I haven't done this yet, but I think a great experience is to watch this movie and then play Resident Evil 3. The way this movie ends really reminds you of the way that Resident Evil 3 starts. And that's a really one of my favorite Resident Evil games. That's the one that I really discovered the the Resident Evil games. I've actually knew of Resident Evil before, but it really didn't grab my interest until I seen Part 3. And Part 3 is a really fun video game as well as Resident Evil is a fun video game movie. Although I do not recommend the Resident Evil movies after this one. I went to the movie theater to see this movie, and I went to the movie theater to see Resident Evil 2, and I was surprised that it was not as good as this. So, Resident Evil, I think this is a fantastic movie, and I think you should check it out. Okay, the third movie that I'm going to talk about is a remake. This is from 1990, and this is directed by Tom Savini. And this is a remake of Night of the Living Dead. And what's cool about this movie is that this really matches the original Night of the Living Dead, but with some changes to it. But the thing about that makes this that would make you want to see this movie is that George A. Romero actually created the original Night of the Living Dead, and he really didn't make money off of the original Night of the Living Dead, and it's one of the best horror movies ever. And this movie he actually makes some money off of. So just checking this out, you're going to be cool because you're making this movie more money, and George A. Romero deserves money for making this movie because the original Night of the Living Dead is magnificent, and this was pretty good. Not as good as the original, but this was pretty good. Let me tell you what happens in this movie. This movie starts off with a brother and sister going to the gravesite of their mother, and as they're going on there, he's teasing her, and as he's teasing her, there's a zombie that walks up upon them and attacks them. And then she starts taking off and she goes to a farmhouse. Then she explores this farmhouse, and eventually there's a black guy that comes up, and they work together in sealing up the house and defending themselves. As the movie goes on, there turns out to be people that are in the cellar. And then a typical zombie movie happens. I'm not going to give away anything more, but let me go over the cast. Ben is played by Tony Todd. Now, this is the Candyman. You know, the movie Candyman. Barbara is played by Patricia Tallman. And yeah, she plays Barbara. I remember her from in the original Night of the Living Dead. But Barbara's character in this is a little bit stronger. Harry Cooper is played by Tom Towles. And then Tom is played by William Butler. And Judy Rose is played by Katie Finran. Finran. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the names correctly. I hope I get better at it. But I try to pronounce them correctly. If I pronounce them wrong, I apologize. But yes, this is a pretty good movie, and I enjoyed this quite a bit. And I think if you gave this your time, you'd like it too. Do not expect it to be as good as the original, but it's got some twists. And the things they change on it might surprise you. So it's not exactly the same movie. And they're pretty big changes, and I recommend it. Although a lot of the similar things happen in this movie as the original. And also, a cool thing about giving this credit is Tom Savini. Now, Tom Savini is the guy that does the makeup of the Friday the 13th movies, and he's fantastic at doing the makeup of these movies. He also did the makeup in the Dawn of the Dead, so he is fantastic at doing movie makeup, and his special effects are pretty amazing. The music is pretty good, and yeah, it's great enjoying this. It's a black and white movie that's now a color movie. So I recommend this, and I think you should check it out. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about these movies. I hope we had a good time talking about it. I hope I entertained you. If I did, please give me a like. I would really appreciate your likes. Please leave comments and let me know what you think of these movies. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I keep on making content, so more is coming. And that's about it. Now, I've got more videos coming. I got to get caught up. I've actually watched 3 other movies that I really enjoyed, and I'm going to be talking about them very soon. One of those movies is incredible. So come around, see that later, and I will see you next time. You have a nice day. I am Peter the Book Lover, and I will see you next video.